So today I'm getting ready to go to Guitar Center and get some guitar strings, and it's time to change these. I've had them on for about a month now, since I'm on this winter break here in Southwest Florida, the always beautiful Southwest Florida. Anyway, so get some strings, and I want to do a video on setting up your guitar for jam band playing, but a lot of things are going to be applicable to any kind of music that you play, and basically any kind of electric guitar. So yeah, just things I've picked up over the years. I worked at Washburn and was in the assembly department, and so I set up quite a few guitars back then, and most of them set up straight to a spec, which was good most of the time, but over the years I've learned a lot of things specifically for doing the Jerry Garcia thing. I've found that help really any guitar, but especially if it's...
So I've got the guitar here on the table, and I thought I'd just kind of start with this to lay down the groundwork as to what it takes to get the setup right on a guitar. So I've got a gauge there that will show how much the string gets pressed down when you fret a note. So what we're looking for is you want it to be even to about here. That's controlled by your truss rod, and then from about here up, that's only your bridge for the most part. So we can watch this gauge and see that at 0 we're right there. The first fret looks about 4 thousandths. Then the next one, it's like a 6. You can see that by the time you get to about the 12th fret, you're about half that dial, so that's about 15. And then by the time you get up to here, you've gone around the dial one time. But the idea is this area here controlled by the bridge, this area here controlled by your truss rod. That's the start of the whole thing. Another thing to note is how much I'm just pushing up and down gently on this neck, and this neck has carbon fiber in it, but you can see how pushing on it back and forth changes the relationship of that string to the body. So in my mind, that's another reason why I run my action a little higher, is because that way, no matter how you bend the guitar or what you happen to be doing, if you're doing a jig or a big pinwheel, then you're going to still have enough clearance for your string. Starting at 0 all the way up, all the way down. Okay, I've got the strings off the guitar now, and I've got my straight edge here, and I've got a white background here that's illuminated with a little bit of a light. And so what I want to do is, and I've taken off the bridge, so I want to get down low and look underneath this straight edge to see if I'm straight or not, because basically a lot of times with most guitars, if you adjust the truss rod until it's straight, then put the strings on, you know, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be very, very close. So I've got this sitting here at the 7th fret for a reason, because if I put this here, the support here, the neck will bow this way, and obviously if you put the support way back here, it's gonna, the weight of the headstock's gonna bring it down. So I just know from this guitar just that's the right spot for it. So if it's flat there, it would basically be flat if it was properly, you know, like if you lay it on a bed, then this is flat, you know, where it's evenly supported underneath. So this is something that is also good to do with the lights off. You can take a look down the fingerboard to see if you've got any light coming underneath any of the frets. So when you adjust your truss rod, you want to loosen it up every once in a while, every, I don't know, maybe a year or two. And so just work it back and forth just a little bit, just to keep it loose over the years, and return it back to where it was. So with a double acting truss rod, which most guitars have nowadays, they act against each other. So by adjusting it up and down, you're lengthening and shortening the bottom rod, which will actually just pushes pressure on the neck. It's different than the old days where the tension would actually draw the wood with a steel rod. Now what they do is there's 2 rods together and they pull against each other, and that changes the direction just like that. Okay, so now is a good time to check your 1st fret height with a feeler gauge, and you're not really looking for any specific measurement. You just want to check and see if there's a little bit of gap right there at the 1st fret by bridging with a feeler gauge across the where the string would go. And so if when you put something across there, if it hits this 1st fret, then that could be causing a buzz situation. This particular guitar, I took a little bit off the end of the fingerboard here and moved the nut that way to lessen the pitch jump that you get by pushing it down a considerable distance, because if you remember from the gauge that I was doing, this is a pretty good jump from 0 to 1. Really puts a lot of extra pressure on that string, so that's why a lot of guitars will have, you'll be really sharp on these the 1st fret notes. So that's what I did with this guitar to kind of compensate for that a little bit. Now I wouldn't recommend really filing your nut, but it is good to clean out the nut a little bit in the slots, just gently with a fine file. Now it's also a good time to tighten up your tuners here. I use this thing, but there's better tools out there. But I don't want to tighten them too tight anyway. But you want to tighten those up. Now is a good time to check if you've got screws on the back of your tuners. You want to check those. So one thing you might notice about this bridge is the way these saddles are. These have been modified from the way this bridge originally came, and I did that to brighten up the sound. Originally these were thicker. In my mind, and this is my opinion, there's many opinions about this, I want to have about that thick of a contact patch on each string, and they're basically almost all the same. And the reason why is it gives you the most consistency across the strings. But the other thing that's good about it is instead of having a sharp edge, it's kind of a blunt edge, and it's actually almost the same thickness as a fret. So your string is kind of going over a fret and then going over another fret, and so both those contact points are similar. So after I get the string started with a wrap or two, then I grab it like this, push down here and pull up here, and I tighten this up so there's no gap there, and I tighten this while I'm still got a lot of pressure on it here. That way I'm kind of pre-tensioning the string. Okay, so I've got all the strings on, and I've got the excess cut off. So now what I want to do is start bringing it up to pitch, just a little bit at a time across the fretboard here. That's good for now. So now I'm going to do some measurements on the action and the pickups. It's been a while since I've actually measured this guitar, so let's see what this thing says. That's about 8/64 on the low E. It looks like the high E about 7. So I'm 8/64, 7/64. So I'm about 1/64 lower on my high E. Let's do some pickup heights here. That's about 14/64. That looks like a solid 12. So that's about 12. That's about 14. That's on the rhythm pickup. Let's see what this one is. The middle one is obviously where all the action is. 12. It's just about 12. So it's about 12/64, 12/64. For the lead pickup, it's a little closer, about 9. About 9 and 9 on the lead pickup there. The thing about pickups is that when the pickup gets too close to the string, its magnetic field will actually pull the string down a little bit, but more importantly, it kills the vibration a little bit. So that explains why this one is, these tend to be a little bit lower than the treble strings, just because they get bogged down most by the magnet. So you'll get a cleaner tone if your pickups are farther away from your strings. If you turn these up and you get into the 6/64 range, it'll be a little bit louder, but it'll get dirtier easier. So this is where it really comes into like personal tastes. And obviously your string action is going to be also to taste. Basically, the higher you go off the fretboard, the cleaner your sound is going to be. And so if you're a player that is trying to be more precise, then raising your action a 64ths on the top and the bottom is a good place to start. Okay, so while I still have it on the bench, I want to rough in the intonation. Obviously this guitar is pretty well intonated already, but basically what I would do is just check at the open string and then check at the 12th fret. And so that if the fretted note is too sharp, then you want to go this way towards the butt of the guitar with that saddle of the particular string you're working on. And so the thing that I like about these bridges, it's probably the same reason why Jerry used one, and that is it's got a much wider range of adjustment, and it's got screw heads on both ends, so you can lock this all together so that none of these will move once you get it intonated properly.
Alright, so we got our strings on the guitar now, and ready to get them played in.